I know it's a young crowd, but some of you may remember the good old days when Mass was said in Latin. Do you? Okay. So very few of you do. That's good. So back in these days, there was only one Eucharistic prayer. Today, if you want to follow along in the missals, it's confusing because there is 5 or more Eucharistic prayers to choose from. Back then, there was only one. So you knew exactly what page to open in your missal. Well, you couldn't understand too much, but there was English column next to Latin, so you could follow along more or less what the priest is whispering back at the altar. This one Eucharistic prayer that we call today the first Eucharistic prayer, or the Roman Canon, was said by every priest in every Catholic church every day from 1570s to 1970s. So 400 years. Every day, every priest, every Catholic church. I guess it would make a scientific term of gazillions of times that this Eucharistic prayer had been used in the space of 400 years. So if you had a good luck of living anywhere in these 400 years between 1570s, which is the Council of Trent, and 1968, which is the Council of Vatican, you would hear this every Sunday. And a part of this Eucharistic prayer, if you wish to open your missals on page 27, is mentioning one obscure name that happens in the Bible only once, but it has been repeated gazillions of times between 1570 and 1970 by every priest, every day, in every Catholic church. That obscure name on page 27 is Melchizedek. Melchizedek has been mentioned disproportionately more often than any other person from the Bible stories because his name was in the Eucharistic prayer, the only Eucharistic prayer that we had for 400 years between the Council of Trent and Vatican II. So, willingly or not, you probably have heard about Melchizedek. And probably not because of the Bible, but because of the Mass that you perhaps attended as a younger person. Every single day, every single priest, every single church makes gazillions of times that Melchizedek was mentioned. And yet, he appears in the Bible only once. One singular time. And we heard about him in today's first reading. You see, he's appearing on the stage out of the blue. He does his 5 seconds of fame and then disappears into the blue or darkness once again. We don't know a lot about who Melchizedek was. He has a cool name, but besides that, what else? The author of Genesis says he was the high priest / the king of Salem. And no, not Salem, Massachusetts, but Jerusalem in Judea. And what is he doing for for these 5 seconds of fame that he has in the entire Bible. He is welcoming an immigrant coming from Iraq, whom we know as Abram, to his kingdom. He's welcoming Abram at the borderline of Salem, of which he is a high priest / king. Someone told him that Abram is traveling with his wife, brother, in-laws, friends, sisters, slaves, and entire business in a big caravan through his country. I don't want to sound political, but there was literally a caravan of immigrants coming into Salem. And the king / high priest, whose name was mentioned gazillions of times for 400 years, takes bread, wine, goes to a border checkpoint and says, "Welcome to my country, have some." Gazillions of times the priests would mention his name. If you were ordained a priest anywhere between 1570 and 1970, there was a high chance on your holy card from ordination there would be a quote, "You are a priest forever like Melchizedek." Melchizedek, knowingly or not, has become the model for the Eucharist and the priesthood. And that model consists of offering bread and wine to a total stranger at the border checkpoint. Almost 15 years into my tenure and our adventure at St. Stanislaus, we have done plenty of weird, crazy things. We have tweaked and changed the Roman Catholic traditions just to make them more meaningful for us. People oftentimes accuse us of having women, of having LGBT people, and all these other scandalous things. But do you know how it all started? It all started with a lady that you should know, Felicia. And she told me a story how for 50 years she and her husband could not go to communion together in a Catholic church because he was Lutheran and she was Catholic. And no Catholic priest would give them communion in a Catholic church together. To make things worse, they wouldn't even marry them in a church. They married them on the steps of the church outside the door. So that conversation with Felicia I had at the very first week or two of my tenure here has made me do my first crazy thing. The first crazy thing was I told her, next Sunday, you and your husband come together to communion. Because I am a priest in the line of Melchizedek. And what Melchizedek did was not ask a question. Abram, I'm sorry, are you practicing Roman Catholic in good standing today? No. He said, there is bread, there is wine, go for it. So that moment when when Felicia's story transformed me, it broke the dam open of all other changes and, I dare to say, improvements in our church polity. How can a priest who says that she or he is in the line of Melchizedek do anything but what Melchizedek did? Well, they can, and they do. And it's nothing new. If you look at the gospel passage, the original 12 apostles would be great monsignors working in the Lindell bishop's office. Because when a problem arises, they say, well, could we dismiss them? There ain't enough bread for everyone. Let's dismiss them. And that is what the church has been doing for centuries. Dismissing people. Not only those who were married to someone who, God forbid, was Lutheran, but the church has been dismissing women. The church has been dismissing people who are divorced and want to get remarried. The church has been dismissing our LGBT siblings. We have become really good at dismissing people. And God forbid you vote the wrong way. You shall be dismissed too. So instead of focusing on Melchizedek, even though his name was mentioned gazillions of times, we have focused on dismiss them. And we have been dismissing them ever since. Not here. Because once the dam was broken, there was no stopping that water from flowing freely everywhere. So not here shall we dismiss anyone from the bread and wine that we offer to strangers like Melchizedek did. Not here. Because not only we have used these prayers gazillions of times, but because you all have been baptized into the priesthood of Melchizedek. It's not only my job to be Melchizedek 2.0, it's yours. Every baptized person is baptized into the priesthood of Jesus Christ and Melchizedek. Not into the priesthood of let's dismiss them. Your priesthood, your baptismal covenant consists of doing what Melchizedek did. Ask questions after. First, give them bread and wine. If you believe that truly this is the body and the blood of Christ, the Corpus Christi, what a better gift can you give to anyone? Dismiss them we shall not, for we are in the line of Melchizedek. Amen.